Sunlu recently came out with a new printer, and I decided that with my love of the S8, why not take a look at the T3 to see if I'll like it just as much. This video will be a bit lengthy, as it'll be a simple unboxing and initial setup video, but I may release other videos in the future for smaller things if you guys want them. The Terminator 3, or T3, boasts many of the upgrades we did to the S8, but right out of the box. It has a 32-bit silent motherboard, which is actually silent as it's running right now, less than an arm's reach away from this microphone, and you can't even hear it. Automatic bed leveling, filament runout sensor, clog detection, power failure resume, an all-metal double gear extruder, belt adjusters, which are an absolute godsend. I'm actually putting them on the S8 in a few days when they come in, as it's needed, and a magnetic platform that has some insane adhesion, which you'll see later on. The only drawback, in my opinion, it's small. It has a 220 by 220 by 250 millimeter bed size, so the same as an Ender 3. Oh, and it also has a new fancy feature called Fast Print, and it's great for prototyping. That will also be shown off later on in this video. And in our well-padded box, we have the power cord, the bag of tools, the power supply, a spool holder, which is 2 parts, more foam, of course, the initial testing filament, which is actually on a spool, so that's always nice, and lastly, the printer itself. To begin assembly, take out the provided snips that we all love and cut these zip ties. Now, you could undo the ties and keep them, but I don't have a need for them, so cut it was. Once the zip ties are cut and the Z-axis is able to move around, lift it up and remove all of the packing foam, but be careful as the axis can fall, which would damage wires, or at least have a high likelihood of doing so. This was fun to figure out how to record solo, as I had to hold everything and make it visible to the camera. This is much easier without trying to show off the holes that you need to put the screws into. Anyway, there are 4 holes for the screws in bag number 3 to attach the Z-axis to the printer body itself. I recommend starting with the top one and screw it in about halfway so it holds everything together, and then putting the bottom one in before putting the other two in. Put them all to hand tight and then give them an extra 1/8 to 1/4 of a turn to make sure they're tight. Next up is to attach the power supply to the printer. The instructions say to screw it in first, but I'd recommend going for the plug first as it's a bit hard to actually connect since it's so tight, and leaving it unscrewed lets you finagle the power supply around to get your hands onto the connector. Now that the power supply is plugged in, go ahead and put the 2 screws from bag number 2 in to the 2 holes on the Z-axis rail. If you need to lift the X-axis, use the Z-axis screw on the back left-hand side of the printer to easily move it up. Don't lift up on the rail to move it as it can potentially cause some damage or cause it to become unlevel. Since the spool holder covers these 2 screws on the top, go ahead and double check to make sure they're tight before putting the spool holder on. You'll actually want to go around the whole printer to make sure everything is tight before use, as sometimes things get loose during shipment. Next, we're going to install the spool holder, which attaches to these 3 holes at the top left of the printer. The screws for the spool holder are in bag number 1 and is 4 screws. 3 that go into the rails, and 1 that connects the spool rail to the holder. When it comes to the spool rail, there's no need to push it all the way in, as the screw will pull it in when you tighten it. Now, one of the most important things before you connect and power on your printer, the voltage switch. If you're in the good old US of A, you're going to want this switch to be on 115 volts. If you're across the pond or anywhere that uses 240 volts for everyday outlets, you'll want it on 230 volts. To switch it, just insert a screwdriver or one of the Allen keys into the flat section of the switch and push it down to 115 volts or up to 230 volts. With the voltage set for your respective area, go ahead and plug in the power cord to the printer and then into an outlet. My coffee table probably wasn't the best spot for doing this, but it worked and that's all that mattered. Once it's gone through its process for powering on, we're going to go ahead and home the printer and level it to make sure it's where everything needs to be and adjust as necessary. Homing the printer is simple. Simply press the knob in, go to motion, then auto home. It'll take a few moments to home and go to its set position. Next, we want to check the probe Z offset. Go to Configuration, Z offset, and have your paper ready. I use a receipt folded in half, but you could also use a regular piece of printer paper or something similarly thin. Make sure the paper isn't in the way when the probe comes down, as it will mess up the reading. Adjust the Z offset up or down as needed until the paper slides back and forth with a tiny bit of resistance. After it's set, go down to Store Settings to save it. It's never a bad idea to then preheat the bed and nozzle and do the same test again to make sure nothing has changed. Next, we want to have the printer auto level and let us know if we need to adjust the bed at all. Go to Motion, Level, then Auxiliary Level, and let it do its probing. It'll take about a minute and then store its settings when it's done. Once you're done with leveling the bed, it's time to add your filament. Cut the end of your filament at a 45-degree angle and make sure the tip is straight in order to get it to go through the runout sensor. Press the button in on the runout sensor as you push the filament through. It may take a few times of pushing the filament in and out to get it to line up with the hole on the other side. For the extruder, press the lever in to release tension on the gears and feed the filament through to the hole on the other side. You may need to press the filament down or move it slightly to align it with the hole. Once it's aligned, feed it all the way through the Bowden tube until you feel resistance as the filament gets to the nozzle. With that done, it's time to go ahead and start with some test prints. I always go for the benchy, but a calibration cube would probably be better. The prints that I'll be showing off here are done with the stock settings, not adjusting anything, not performing any retraction tests or calibration tests, just take it out of the box, slice a file, and print. To print a benchy, it takes 1 hour and 17 minutes, and it came out pretty good. Could benefit from dialing in the retraction settings for sure, but not bad for just straight out of the box. The second benchy, which will be sped up 27 times speed here for being able to watch in a timely manner, is done with fast print on. Fast print is great for prototyping, but will obviously suffer a bit on quality with the higher speeds. It is recommended to increase the nozzle temp by 10 to 15 degrees for the increased flow required for the higher speeds. We can see that with fast print on, it finished in just under 35 minutes, which is pretty impressive in my book. I'm honestly more impressed by the lack of stringing. I was expecting it to be far worse with those types of movement speeds. Now, one thing I mentioned earlier is the bed adhesion of this flex plate that they ship it with. This is me trying to remove the print about half an hour after it was done, so it was more than cooled down enough, and I still could not remove it. I'm fairly certain I'm going to damage this plate in short order just with the insane adhesion, but hey, at least I won't have to worry about a print failing due to lack of adhesion. And surprisingly, there's almost no elephant's footing. On the original benchy, the normal speed one, there was none, and on the fast print there was a tiny bit, but not enough to cause that kind of sticking. But that's all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and found it helpful. And there will be an Amazon affiliate link in the description below if you want to pick up your own. Affiliate links do not increase the price of items, and they help support the channel so I can keep buying new products to test out for all of you. As always, if you like the content I'm putting out, make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to stay up to date with all new content as it comes out. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.